Hello, and welcome to this HelloID Provisioning product release video for June 2020. We'd first like to give you an overview of the new functionalities in a PowerPoint presentation and then demo the new software. Let's start with what's new. There are 3 new items. Now we can exclude people from processing. That means that we can mark a person, for example, from an HR system that will be excluded from processing. So if you have 2 source systems and a person exists in both systems, but you only want to create their user account once. For example, if you have staff and students in a school environment, and there's a person that's both staff and a student, then you might only want to process their HR record and not the student record. This way, you won't get a duplicate account. So now you can exclude this person as a student from processing. You can mark them manually and exclude them from the processing, but you can also set an automatic rule in the importer. Today, we will show you both options during the demo. The second new option, we now have target PowerShell memberships. We were already able to create, enable, disable, delete, and edit accounts, but now you can also set the membership or permissions on a user account. We will demo this right after the PowerPoint. The last new option is that we now have Cloud PowerShell as a source system option. Before, you always needed an agent running a local member server, but now this is not necessary because it's running in the HelloID Cloud environment. You don't need an agent anymore to retrieve data from the source system. Let's demo these new functionalities. The first option we'd like to show you is how to exclude a person from processing. This basically means that if you go to the business rules and run an evaluation and you don't want that person to be processed, you have 2 options. You can do it manually or you can set a rule. So let's first show you the easier manual version. Here you have the exclusion list. And here you can mark people to be excluded. We already marked a couple of people for exclusion. Here you can see the type. These are all the manual ones, but suppose we want to exclude a couple more people. Now, all these will be manually excluded too. Here we have a different type, Mr. Anderson, and he is also excluded from processing, but that's based on the source mapping rule. Let's show you how to do that. You go to Source, Configuration, Person, and this is the new option, Excluded. And here you have the option to set a rule on who needs to be excluded. You can do this on any parameter from the source system. In this particular case, we didn't make such a nice example, so we just excluded Mr. Anderson based on his external ID. This is the external ID, and if this person has this external ID, we set the return value for excluded on true. If you go down, you can see that this is true. If we remove this, then Anderson will be processed again. So if we go here to fixed value and set excluded to false, this means that he's not going to be excluded anymore. We need to rerun the source system, but then you will see that Mr. Anderson will be excluded from the list. We have not run the source system import again, so he's still showing as excluded. But if we rerun the source import, then Anderson will be included again. Okay, let's now show you the next item on the list, the target PowerShell memberships. If we go to the target systems, there's a PowerShell demo we created for this demo. This is a new option. It was already available with the account lifecycle, but now we have the new option here, Membership, and it contains the grant and revoke access rights within the PowerShell system. This is the list of memberships or access rights that are available for grant or revoke. It has a display name and an identification, and this is an object. It's PowerShell code, so you can include everything you would like. It's now hard code, but we could retrieve information from a CSV file or web API. The display name is used for GUI purposes. The identification object will be passed if you grant or revoke the particular access right. So then you have more detailed information. We can preview here and then list 2 items, 1 and 2. And then we see what information is inside. If we are going to do a grant, then we need to execute what's going to happen, and of course we get the membership reference. Here we can see what's going to happen with a particular person if we grant this access right. The most important thing is that it shows up in the business rules. So let's go to business rules and we'll do a very simple example. Here it loads the PowerShell. It used to only show the account and account access, but now it's also showing the 2 extra permissions that we created in the PowerShell connector. This is a very powerful extension to the provisioning module. The last item is the Cloud PowerShell source connector. There's not much that we can show you for this, but it's a big change. It shows up as a very simple option. If we toggle this option, it will be executed via the on-premise agent, and if we toggle it this way, it will be executed from the HelloID cloud environment. A very simple tick box with, of course, a lot of background changes. You need to remember that if you run any code, it needs to be compatible to PowerShell Core 7. Please let us know if you have any additional questions. You can post your question in YouTube or send it to isupport@toolsforever.com. Please subscribe to our channel to receive frequent updates about improvements and changes in HelloID. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.